Hi, my name is Cassidy Moore. I'm 30 years old. I'm an AMPIA for the Cavanaugh Flight Museum. At the Cavanaugh Flight Museum, I take care of a plethora of World War II, World War I, Vietnam, and Korea aircraft. Namely, I've become the crew chief on the Skyraider. Aviation for me didn't come in until I was getting ready to graduate high school. I ended up in a family that has nothing to do with airplanes. My grandfather was involved in Vietnam, but airplanes was definitely not his forte. He flew in a helicopter once and he was done. So I ended up making some friends from where we lived who had an airplane. They had a little clip-wing Piper. And they offered me to go to a pancake breakfast down at Bonifay, Florida. And this pancake breakfast was an EAA thing, and it turns out that the people that were putting it on mostly were instructors for an A&P school. So at the time, I didn't have anything really to do, like I said, with aviation, but I was still kind of dealing with maintenance a little bit here and there. My grandfather and uncle were building classic custom hot rods, and I kind of grew up in that household. So when I went down to this pancake breakfast and I got my first opportunity to fly in a small airplane, they kind of started to talk to me about it. They were letting me know, hey, airplanes don't fly without mechanics. Have you ever thought about doing something like that? And the reason they brought it up is because they asked me, you're getting ready to graduate high school, what's your plans for the future? Well, I didn't have any. I'm not really a four-year school kind of person. I didn't think that that was going to be really the right thing for me. So when we were talking about dealing with, graduating high school, I hadn't really come up with a plan. So they started to talk to me about it and told me that it's a 2-year technical school. You go, you're hands-on, you're involved. You get the opportunity to learn about aviation that way. And they introduce you to all versions of aviation. At the time, they were still doing a lot of, not a lot, but a little bit of dope and fabric. We didn't really deal in radials at all, but they were mostly just trying to get you involved in, general aviation. At least these guys were, considering the EAA. With this opportunity came the last minute decision that I made. Just before I graduated, I called the A&P school and they said, nope, we're booked up. And I said, well, okay, that's fine. And they said, wait a minute, are you a lady? And I was like, last time I checked, absolutely. And like, funny enough, a spot just opened up. So I was able to get into the A&P school and start getting involved. I graduated on a Thursday, started school on a Tuesday. And I went to school, did the 2 years. During those 2 years, I became an apprentice for a flight school called Double Bridges Aviation in Enterprise, Alabama. And they had me doing, Cessna Piper Beechcraft. And we were dealing mostly with the flight school airplanes, but Quentin had a general maintenance shop as well. So I got the opportunity to get involved there. I did general aviation for most of my career. So after about 5 years of general aviation, I got the opportunity when I moved to the state of Washington, where I started working on CH or UH-34 helicopters. These are all 12 radial engine helicopters, and we were cherry drying, which opened the door into radial engines. I had done nitpicky pieces here, a little bit of T6, a little bit of DC-3, but I had not quite gotten the opportunity to really break into radials. So this helicopter job gave me that opportunity. But when I finished up on the contract with those guys and I came back to the western side of Washington, I ended up meeting the Heritage Flight Museum. I worked for them for 4 years until recently, about 5 months ago, I joined Cavanaugh Flight Museum. Cavanaugh's operation is quite a bit bigger, and they're running a lot more and they're flying a lot more often. So it opens the door for a lot more heavier maintenance, which is exactly what I was looking for. So now I'm maintaining Skyraider and actually getting to fly in one after maintaining a single seat AD4 for about 4 years. So Cavanaugh has really opened the door to doing more heavier maintenance than what I had been doing prior. So this has been a huge change, but it has been a fantastic change. So I have had the incredible opportunity to become a 9-to-5 employee on Warbirds. So I work full-time for the Cavanaugh Flight Museum. Every day I come in and I work on scheduled and unscheduled maintenance, trying to prep airplanes for air shows, and getting to do the opportunity that I have here of showing up for my first Oshkosh. I've spent a lot of time in the industry working really hard to try and get into Warbirds, and one of the biggest things that I could give, any advice at all, to an aspiring mechanic trying to get into Warbirds, first and foremost, flight schools are a huge help. And the reason being is because they teach you how to troubleshoot. you're going to be on the road, you're going to have to figure something out, you're going to be dealing with a ton of different pilots, and it gives you the opportunity to really break into and learn what your abilities are strong at, right? So I learned that engine work was really my strongest suit. I can do hydraulics, I can do airframe, but starting with a flight school and having that troubleshooting ability really helps open the door to Warbirds, because Warbirds are not one of those things where you can just go to, Textron and buy a part. In this industry, we really have to troubleshoot it to the nth degree, because we are not always going to have the ability to just pull and replace a part. So being able to troubleshoot, being able to do structures, being able to fabricate is a huge deal in this industry. And the wonderful part about starting out in a flight school for maintenance is because it throws all that at you at one time. And like I said, you kind of hone in your skills. Maybe you're a good sheet metal tech. Maybe you're a good avionics tech. Maybe engines, like me, is your big strong suit. And so once you have that ability, once you hone those skills in, the door for Warbirds really opens up, because we need people. It's very hard to train someone fresh out of A&P school into a Warbird, because a lot of people tend to blow a Warbird out of proportion. A Mustang, for example. In our world, in Warbird world, the Mustang has become the 172 of the community. They're popping up everywhere. But to get the mindset of a younger mechanic to look at it as just an airplane, so that when you go in and do the maintenance, you have that ability to kind of look past the fact that there's a Merlin, or look past the fact that there is, so that when you look into it, you're looking at an engine, and you're looking at how that engine, or how that part, or how that piece affects the entire airframe. So if you're thinking about getting in Warbirds and you really want to do it, my biggest suggestion, if you're trying to do a 9-to-5 like I am, start in the flight school industry, get that training, get that troubleshooting, learn what you're the best at, what your best strong suit is, and then start looking at the Warbirds as far as like a shop that maybe does restoration, and that really helps keep these things flying. It keeps this industry going, and it helps keep places like Oshkosh full of Warbirds like what we have here. So kind of stepping outside of that A&P role, I have been doing, like I said, maintenance on Warbirds, but it's not just about the maintenance. It's about the love of the airplane. Warbirds have been built 70, 50, 60 years ago, and they're still flying and they're still operating. And they were on the forefront of the engineering of what we've ended up with today. And starting with, the L5s and going into your Mustangs and all of those things. You've got a lot of things that have been built that kind of helped the foundation to build more, and to get a lot of our civilian side of the house a little more tuned up, and the military was able to kind of test and adjust. And so being able to travel with these aircraft and meeting the people and shaking the hands is a huge thing. I absolutely love meeting new people, and I love being able to get people interested and involved in this industry. Getting to see kids light up when they see it, or getting to see, the veteran who's been a part of it, who flew them, and seeing them realize that we recognize you, that we are here for you, that we are maintaining these things so that no one forgets the sacrifice that you guys made. And it really does just kind of help keep you wanting more. So as a female in maintenance, and especially in Warbird maintenance, I get a lot of comments all the time. I haven't seen a woman do maintenance. I've never seen a woman on these Warbirds. Well, let me tell you something, sweethearts. We can do this. I am the smallest on our crew, you know that, and I can get in and out of all the tight places, and people try to look at us and say, well, women can't do the same thing, or, maybe they're not strong enough, or not, not heavy enough to do these things. But let me tell you, I've been doing this now for 10 years, and Warbirds needs women. Women are meticulous, and we have all of these great skills that we can bring into this industry, and we really, really need it. It's not just a boys club. Girls can do this every day, and we kick butt at it all the time. And I love to see the little girls that come in and their face lights up when they see my bright pink toolbox over at Cavanaugh Flight Museum. It gives people that idea and that hope that we're not just stuck in the 50s. We're progressing, we're moving forward, and we need more women to do this. So to kind of conclude, if you guys ever have any questions, comments, and or concerns, and you're in the Dallas area, please swing by Cavanaugh Flight Museum, check us out at cavflight.org, and let us know what you think, come up with any questions you might have, and come check out the beautiful collection of museum that we have here.